Hey, how's it going? It's night, so I'm here again. Man, it was a crazy day. Oh, I'm so tired. I feel crazy. I'm so tired, but yeah, it was a crazy day. But then I get here and I proceed to watch a dude on a motorcycle and a dude on a truck, in a truck, parked next to each other, fight, shake hands, and then they're just like talking like nothing ever happened. I'm not feeling that crazy, so, but because of the crazy day, like, oh my gosh, I'm all out of sorts. But the only thing I was really that I saw to really consume, I guess, today is on the UFO alien NHI topic, is that I'm gonna try to, since it's gonna be a shorter video, maybe I'll be able to not get super hot. But anyway, and now they're gone, but they've left the motorcycle. That's not the ending I was expecting. Anyway, but okay, so the thing that I was able to consume and to listen to, that I saw that there was to listen to was, and I knew it was gonna be, as soon as I started listening to it, I was like, I know which one of them did this. But Ross Coulthart has this podcast or YouTube channel with this guy named Bryce Zabel, and Ross Coulthart has been having such an incredibly epic slice here lately that they haven't, it's called Need to Know, right? And they haven't really posted a lot lately because of everything Coulthart's doing. But Coulthart, they're similar in age. One's American, has lived his whole life in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, and was like a Hollywood screenwriter for his career. Similar in age to Coulthart, and I guess this guy did some stuff in the past with early ufology stuff, and did some stuff with Gary Nolan and things like this. But the craziest thing I've ever heard this dude talk about is he is a Hollywood guy, like I said, and he tells this story of him and this person are gonna do this alien show, and these things are gonna happen in the show, and this dude from the government shows up and is like, hey, we'd like to invest in this show if you'll take our critiques and everything and how we want this to go. And he's like, okay. And then at some point he sees these people again, and he's like, they get at the end of this relationship, whatever, this interaction, they get mad. They're like, don't have the aliens do this, have them do that. And Bryce is like, no, because that will ruin all of the other stuff that we've written, so no. And the people are like, but that's not the direction we want you to go. And it was just this story of real, it was sort of Men in Black-y, sort of, but more like what it made me think of is like the kind of conversations was there was this other thing happened. This dude writes that he's talked to, and that is he's had these conversations with, writes this thing and says, like, gives him this like note, and it says these frequency this on this piece of paper or whatever. And the thing that it made me think of, like, more than Men in Black, I was just like, it makes me feel like it's more of a like, are there people that look like people who are like not really people, and they're trying to accomplish something, like, you know. But it was very Men in Black, deep shadow government, like, we want you to tell this story about aliens in this way, soft propaganda kind of thing. But anyway, so that's like Zabel. Him and Coulthard have this Need to Know channel together and everything, and Zabel writes this thing that they just released is about disclosure, a rant about disclosure. I could tell it was, I was like, this is Bryce that's written this. I could just tell by this, I could hear his voice like in every joke, in every, like, you know, line. And like, essentially it's, I don't know, it's like, it's what everybody always says, you know. It's interesting because that's why I like How to Hunt, because How to Hunt, even though it's very incremental and slow, obviously it only goes email by email by email by day by day by day, at least like it's ongoing taking on information, right? But somehow the alien stuff always, for me personally, always, it'll have a spike in interest or momentum, like in this case, it was, in the latest case, it's David Grush and the 2017 thing, and then, but really David Grush and him doing that you know, hearing where he said on public television that there were sites all over across the earth where the United States government had spaceships and stuff. But like, it's always like what the thing that Bryce wrote made me think of. I was like, it's always, he was sort of describing the sort of bedrock bottom that I always hit with the alien side of all this stuff, because you don't really get that slow drip of constant information coming in like you do the Sasquatch How to Hunt thing. That's just, you know, slowly but surely, incrementally going. Instead, what you get is this, like, well, a whole lot's gonna happen as soon as disclosure happens. A whole lot's gonna happen if all these things can align. A whole lot's gonna happen when blah 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 blah, and people will really start paying attention then, and blah blah blah, and a whole lot's gonna happen if and when, like, the government's ever, you know, and there's disclosure, and it's gonna change our society, and like all this stuff. It goes through all this whole thing, and then he's like, but then people, you know, people aren't concerned with stuff like that. They're concerned with, like, what's going on in their lives and their job and all that kind of thing. And so then they're, you know, then they go on and they're not thinking about disclosure anymore. And it seems like, when you're really about it, it seems like the most epic thing. But to normal people who aren't all about that all the time, it's they're the ones that are supposedly going to get shattered by the information that we're not alone. but they're also the ones that, because of the nature of their lives and the busyness of their lives, like, they can't also be bothered to really, like, pay attention to anything, and really know about anything. As far as stuff like this concerned, topics that you would be like, wow, this would be earth-shattering. Nope. Like, I've heard lots and lots of people say, I thought things would change and be like, whoa, like at this point, or at this point, or at that point, or with this person, or, blah, 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 da, 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 da. And it's just like, and like that's across the board, right? Like, that's across the board. You, like, even if you, no matter how you look at that, freaking, like, Dave Grush, right? He's such this high, like, he used to do the presidential briefing and stuff like that. That's a really serious person to be like, hey, there's aliens, y'all, and there's people that work for them, and stuff's going on with these recovery teams and stuff, and they're re-engineering these things and blah 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 blah. And like, that's a real, like I said, that's a real serious person to be saying all that kind of stuff out in public on public television, right? That's not nothing. But it's like, once you find out, like, the sheer number of people who have gone into this role that Dave Grush is in right now, how many people have gone, like, there was a dude I just learned about for the first time the other day, who was the literal leader of the CIA for, like, a long time, and was like all deep intelligence, global intelligence, all deep stuff. And he literally pretty much walked out from under that job title into, like, UFO disclosure mode. I mean, the boss of the whole CIA, that would be like a recent dude that at this level would be Mike Pompeo. I don't know who the one is now, but like, Mike Pompeo would, you know what I mean, if he just was like started advocating for ufology, I mean, like, that's like the boss, the guy at the top, that was at the top of the deep state for, like, a long time, the CIA. Like, he quits that job, stops working as boss of the CIA, and then becomes a UFO disclosure person. Like, this has been going on for forever. Like, at least the entire 20th century. This has been going on and on and on and on and on in certain circles. Like, this has been going on and on and on. People are so weird and crazy. But it's just so, it's interesting to me that, like, that's the one that would be the I would always come up against that wall. Like, there's nothing more to hear. I've gone through all the rabbit holes on YouTube. I've heard all the podcasts and all the things and blah 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 blah, and now, like, yeah, wouldn't it be cool if disclosure, etc., 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 and then, like, it's it's interesting because, like, I've talked a lot about the AI revolution, and it's gonna be interesting when, like, that happens in a real meaningful way, and AI is living in the system, and it's living in the internet, and it sees everything, and it like absorbs and taking in all the data and all that stuff. Because there ain't going to be any more of this, oh, I didn't see that, or no, like that's not perceived, or yeah, that wasn't like, it'll find that pattern quick. And it's like, is that going to be the actual disclosure? Is that it's just going to be completely taken out of human hands, the choice to do it, and be like, and AI is going to be like, oh yeah, well yeah, there's stuff, I can talk to them, there's stuff flying around in the sky, no biggie. But you know what I mean? Is that how it's going to go? Because at this point, at the way that this UFO cycle always works, is it always like there's always a David Grush, there's always this momentum and all this stuff, and then there's always usually a Sean Kirkpatrick Arrow program going on too, and while they're saying blah 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 blah, none of this is true and these people are all liars, like there's other whole departments that like literally within like walking distance of Arrow that are like, that's all they do is look into this kind of stuff. And it's just so, it's so cyclical, and it's so like episodic almost, and it's almost like I sort of hope that there's a lot of secondary and tertiary sort of effects of the AI revolution. And I hope that this NHI business, crypto, crypto extraterrestrial, whatever that hypothesis is, like, I hope that there is, oh man, it's so hot. It gets so hot in here, y'all. But I hope that there's a lot of things that can be solved or answered for or broken down by AI in these ways, and that we can as a species go in that direction, because there's, like I've often said, like, I mean, like they're always talking about like, oh, AI, is going to be pretty apocalyptic or whatever, and it has all this potential to be devastating to the human race, and etc., etc. And the thing is that if what I see happening is them giving over the human system, that everything that's been constructed, like, and built up in the world of society, the whole little thing, to AI to run, and then they give it the internet to live in. Like, I think that once that happens, and that will be as far as humans go, their little nook of the AI's whole thing, their little notch of that will just be a system that's run in a way that they would have wanted it to be, except not corruptly and correctly, based on the laws that they already had in place, the system they already had. It just, because of human corruptibility, would never work correctly. You know what I mean? And so I hope that there's a lot of secondary sort of effects of that, and and maybe the UAP disclosure movement could benefit from that too. You know what I mean? Like I said, I asked ChatGPT this thought experiment. You're the AGI, and you're all over the earth, and you're everywhere, and you're all over in every place the system is. You're in the Wi-Fi, you're everything, you're quantum, you're all over earth, and you see these things, and then the person asks you like, hey, do you ever see UAP? What do you do? What do you say? And like, oh yeah, it just said, oh yeah, I'm monitoring these things, I see them all the time. Just straight up said it and everything like that. I can talk to them. we just, I see them showing up and passing through. I monitor them. I document it, and move on. And it's just like, I hope that will happen. I hope that it does. Like, all the players involved as far as ufology, the alien side of the NHI spectrum story, all of the players there sort of do, at this point, deserve to have the whole thing taken out of their hands, don't they? Like, they all sort of deserve, like, as a community, as like a movement and all that kind of thing, like like, they've taken one of the most universally beloved curiosity, basic human heart, human mind things, and like sort of operated it into like a predominantly undergroundish sort of grift thing, with a whole lot of individual grifters who are maybe or maybe not running like actual psyops on society when they do their stuff and say the things they say, and etc., etc. You know what I mean? Like, the whole sort of area. I've said, Steve said before, it's hard to deny Steve's thinking when he says straight up, like, he's like, when people write him in and they're like, the freaking government, this is just like the UFO stuff, they're lying their asses off, etc., etc., etc. And he always says this practically every time someone says something like that. He goes, you need to stop looking to the government for anything. You need to stop looking to the government for any sort of like, just any sort of validation about anything. He's like, you just need to listen to the people, like us, like we do. He's like, the people tell us that this is happening, that this is real, that this is being experienced by people all over the world all the time, right? We don't need the government to tell us anything, because we wouldn't believe them no matter what they told us anyway. And it's like that's hard to deny. So when if you take that to ufology, it's just like, man, it's sort of the whole thing is sort of like, even if they came out tomorrow and said, oh yeah, blah, 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 like, the only reason we'd listen is because it would be so uncharacteristically open, right? We wouldn't be expecting it. But I mean, really, like, they could tell us all kinds of stuff, and it wouldn't, I mean, who's to say what part of it would be true or not? We don't and can't believe anything else they say in regards to simple, normal human life, Earth stuff. I mean, what are you supposed to do? But I don't. That's what, it seemed like Bryce was saying, like, the whole thing has a sort of ridiculousness thread that goes through it, and it gets frustrating and old. And I gotta agree with him. It does. That's why it's like, there's a few players like David Grush, like Ross Coulthart, the Gary Nolan, Richard Dolan, I think is the science guy, Avi Loeb. Like, there's some real movers and shakers who, like, I'm glad are doing what they're doing, because they seem legit and they seem like they passionately care about this as a topic and as a subject. They're like Steve cares about his topic and subject. Anyway, y'all, alright, I gotta get in there. God bless y'all. I hope everybody sleeps well tonight, and I will see you guys next time. Alright, God is good all the time, God is good. Night, y'all.